one of history's greatest tragedies. Millions of men, women, and children ripped from their homeland, packed into ships like cargo, and forced into a life of unimaginable suffering. This is the story of the Middle Passage, the brutal journey at the heart of the transatlantic slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade began in the 15th century, when European nations like Portugal and Spain sought cheap labor for their colonies in the Americas. Over the next 400 years, an estimated 12 million Africans would be forcibly taken across the Atlantic. This brutal system, known as the triangular trade, involved European goods being exchanged for enslaved Africans, who were then shipped across the Atlantic to work in plantations. The Middle Passage, the most infamous leg of the journey, was a nightmare. Africans were crammed into ships, shackled in chains, with barely enough space to breathe. Men, women, and children were forced to lie in their own filth, surrounded by disease, malnutrition, and brutality. Many did not survive the journey. Drowning, starvation, and outbreaks of disease claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. For some, the horror was too great. Many chose to leap into the ocean rather than endure life in bondage. Their stories remain a haunting reminder of this dark chapter in history. For those who survived, the nightmare was far from over. Upon arrival in the Americas, enslaved Africans were auctioned off. Families were torn apart. Lives were sold to the highest bidder. Stripped of their names, their identities, and their freedom, they were forced into a lifetime of hard labor on sugar, cotton, and tobacco plantations. From sunup to sundown, enslaved Africans toiled in brutal conditions, their entire existence dictated by their enslavers. Despite their oppression, enslaved Africans resisted in many ways, running away, revolting, and preserving their culture through music, language, and storytelling. From the Haitian Revolution to Nat Turner's uprising, acts of defiance spread across the Americas, proving that the human spirit could never be truly enslaved. Heroes like Harriet Tubman risked their lives to free others, while abolitionists fought tirelessly to end the trade. The movement to end slavery gained momentum in the 19th century. Britain banned the slave trade in 1807, followed by the United States. Yet, slavery itself continued for decades before being abolished. Even after emancipation, the scars of slavery remained. The legacy of the Middle Passage is still felt today, shaping cultures, identities, and social struggles across the Americas. The Middle Passage was one of the darkest human tragedies in history. Millions suffered and died, yet their resilience, strength, and contributions shaped the world we live in today. To move forward, we must remember the past. Only by understanding history can we build a better future.